Hello, everybody. It's Glass Half Dead here, and today I'm joined by Sheldon, who's on this side of me from Kill Team Stream. Do you want to say hello, Sheldon?
Hi, everybody.
Good
Thanks for
job.
having me on.
No problem. Great to have you here. And the reason I have you on today is because something that I think a lot of people that watch my channel are interested in is, of course, competitive Kill Team. And you are actually I'm going to say TO, but feel free to correct me
Yep,
in a second, for the upcoming SoCal Open, which is happening, I'm going to say October 24th.
26th.
I was close. Okay.
Yeah,
October 26th, which is a little bit
and
after.
27th.
Yes,
Yeah,
we could talk about that later with
two
your
days.
multiple days. Yeah, which is a little bit after Nova is happening, but I believe it's the next big tournament after Nova. Is that right?
Yeah. That should be the next major tournament. I'm hosting like a little kind of commanders tournament locally. In the beginning of October, so that comes before it, but it's not
It's a bit
not
more
a major
local.
tournament.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah,
No, that's cool. So obviously everybody wants to know about competitive kill team on this channel. Let's start with the
yeah.
absolute basics. What is the format?
So the format that I picked for SoCal Open, I kind of wanted to keep my arena battle format going for the event, and so the first day is pretty much straight out of the book, the arena format, as they detailed it in the actual rulebook that came with the arena set, and the only difference is that I switched it up to 125 points post elites. So the points limit is the only real change. Everything else is pretty much straight out of the book. And then the
Now, when you
second,
say straight out of the
yeah,
book, sorry, do you mean you're taking each of the kind of listed missions in the arena book, or you're doing the Objective Ultima randomized missions?
well, when I set up this, I didn't realize that the Ultima was to be used for any tournament stuff. I thought it was 100% just for narrative and fun games. That's how that's written in the book. So I based the tournament off of the first half, all the matched play missions that are supposed to be for a tournament. Um, Obviously, Nova's doing the Ultima mission, so I I might want to like look into what the what, not for this tournament. I don't want to change anything, but maybe in the next one, looking into something like that. But yeah, I picked it mostly because I wanted to do an arena tournament because I invested heavily into arena, uh, the format.
I think a lot of
But
people have seen your collection. Yes.
yeah, we can get into that a little bit later. But the second day is going to be more of the standard sort of the original Nova format, the Annihilation style. But the only difference is we're kind of using the Adepticon terrain rules. So the the boards being set up, it's like the players set up the terrain themselves as part of the mustering phase. And the big difference there also is the 125 points. So both of them, I switched up to 125 points post elites, mostly because of your Discord and everybody saying that if I didn't do that, it would ruin the game of Kill Team. So
Well, I'm sure we could both discuss how I feel that the general desire to play 125 has changed a bit now
yeah,
since Elites was originally released. It kind of had this phase of we're sticking at 100, and then it
yeah.
quite quickly, like within 2 weeks, maybe swapped to 125 is way more fun. Let's do that. And
I do have to admit, the few games I've done at 125 have been way more fun for me, at least.
they
Like
have, they have, yeah.
I I I I don't know what it is, but like that extra 25 points just like gives you a little bit more room to just kind of have a little bit of fun with the list building. I feel like,
No,
you
I
know.
completely agree, and I think everybody does. However, I am
Yeah.
seeing a lot of tournaments. For example, believe Nova is sticking to 100 points, and I know
Yep.
that a lot of the big tournaments in Spain,
Oh.
randomly, are also sticking to 100 points, which
Yeah.
may sound random, but I believe one of them's 50 players. So it's not a small tournament
Oh
at
yeah.
all. So yeah, don't
Well,
know
I know
why.
that the big reason why everybody was kind of on the fence about switching to a 125 originally was because they were, Mike Brandt from Nova was so vocal about 100 being still the competitive format, and so that probably influenced, you know, a lot of people, and I'm sure he had to stick with his guns after being so loud about it.
Well, yeah, I think that might be part of it. But at the same time, as I've said in other videos, I do think that there is always room for multiple formats. I don't think
Yeah.
that 100 has to be the king or anything like that.
That's part of my favorite thing about Kill Team is that it seems so flexible. Like, you don't have to just stick with one format. Every kill zone has come with new missions. Every, book has new missions. There's like tons of different ways you can play. 200 points. I've heard of people playing full 40,000 games just using the Kill Team rule set. Like
Why
there's
not?
there's a lot of options. And I like that about the game. You can do
Mm,
narrative, you can do
yeah.
competitive, you can do teams. It's just versatile the game format is.
Now I kind of cut you off a little bit there. So to clarify, to kind of re-go over the SoCal Open there, day one,
Yeah,
you're having a
the
regular.
arena.
Wait, day one's arena.
Yep,
Okay, day one is arena using the core rules from the arena book. Don't know why I called
yep.
them the core rules, the arena rules. Uh, no modifications there. You're using all of the secondaries there. Um, all of the layouts, there's no change. Unlike, for example, I bring this up purely because BAO modified some of the secondaries, didn't they?
Yeah.
And you're going with
No,
from the book.
actually, the BAO, I was actually really impressed with that rules packet. It's funny because when me and my buddies first saw the BAO rules packet, because I was already planning on going, I was like, it was kind of formatted like it looked like all plain text and everything, and I kind of wrote it off as like, oh, this is just some silly. I didn't think about it too much, and once we actually started like doing the missions, I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. I really like this format, having access to every secondary instead of being like shoehorned into just the ones that are for that specific mission. It felt a lot more balanced, and I feel like if I hadn't already written all my rules packets and everything and already committed to the format, I probably would have switched to the BAO style of all secondaries available. But,
Well, I'm glad you didn't, because that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, sure. That's fair. That's fair.
agree to disagree.
Yes, yeah. And then so day two is then your open day.
Yes.
No, I didn't know you were doing this, using the Adepticon terrain placement. What was the
Yeah.
reason? Or did you just go to Adepticon and thought that's cool?
No, so the impetus for that was that when I was talking with Reese and the guys down there in SoCal, Steven and Andrew, they uh, were talking about how, because of the limitations of how many boards I had for Arena and stuff, they didn't feel like it could scale as large as they wanted to. And so they actually were the ones that suggested, oh, why don't we do something like BAO and have the two so we can have more boards. And I personally thought that having both the Arena and non-Arena would be much harder to organize from my end, and so I decided to split it up and do one arena day and one open day. And because I wasn't entirely sure on what terrain we'd be getting from Frontline, I wanted to make sure that it was fair. And I liked that the Adepticon format of placing the terrain gave, sort of like um, uh, agency for the players to be able to like create their own board. So even if it wasn't like 100% balanced side, one side was mirrored to the other side, at least I knew that there would be some semblance of balance just based on like player placement being a factor,
Yeah.
and it would add to like the challenge of the missions.
And how does that work? Is it just whoever rolls initiative gets to place the first piece, or?
Yeah, so essentially, how I'm thinking about planning it right now, because of the way that I've been working on the boards, is there's going to be one central element of each board that's like unchanging, and then yeah, it switches off initiative. There'll be two large pieces, two middle pieces, four like scatter pieces, and there's some various rules for placing them that it's 9 inches from here or whatever, from a board edge and all that stuff, and they can place them essentially however they want. Although obviously 22 by 30, there's only so much it can go. But it's based off like initiative, and then it goes one and then the other, and sort of round robin kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah, I do think that, for example, when people are prepping for this, I think that terrain placement has to be part of your prep.
Yeah.
Because I personally have never done that in Kill Team. Whenever I've placed my terrain with a partner, we've just whatever. Oh yeah, that seems fine. Okay, cool, and tried to make it roughly balanced. I've never
So,
attempted to game the terrain and actually
so
say, hmm?
didn't you guys have Didn't you say you had a SoCal test tourney? You did like the SoCal rules packet or something like that at a.
Um, we played the BAO rule packet
Oh, okay.
at a recent event I did. That did not include terrain placement, and again, that was kind of a casual thing. It was only 8 players, and we just it was a guy's house, so he set up all the boards, made it nice and dense, and then
Yeah.
we just played on a nice thematic board, more than being properly cutthroat competitive. Yeah, which is
That's
probably
yeah. No,
why
I think I was just confused because your video you said SoCal Open, so I think that your recent video. So I was like, oh, cool,
yeah
he used the packet.
I get them very mixed up. Yeah,
It's okay. A lot of people do.
yeah, yeah. In my mind, I associate you and Alex as being very, very similar. Uh, because I know that you both have been to multiple events and you do help each other. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, going forward, we're hoping to make it so that all the frontline events have the same format. So that's kind of the goal going forward after LVO. Whatever packet we work on for the LVO is going to become sort of like the ITC standard packet, and then BAO, SoCal Open, all that stuff's going to be the same packet again, and hopefully it'll be like a standardized event packet, and then whoever's TOing which specific event, it's we'll just use the same packet, and it'll be sort of an ITC standard, and Alex has kind of taken charge of the writing of that, since he's obviously much better at writing rules packets. I just kind of copy and paste.
Hey,
I'm good at making
nothing
them
wrong
look
with that.
good.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I think that is a good way of doing it. I mean, while I did just earlier say that, hey, we can have as many formats as we want, and that is true, it would be nice to have a few, you know.
Yeah.
We don't need 20 throughout the year, but
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, that's I think everyone's okay with that. And of course, we already
Yeah.
have the Annihilation Pack from GW themselves. Is the Annihilation Pack just the same as, is that what Nova's playing?
So it's what Nova played when they did their first tournament, and I think there were just like a couple changes, maybe secondaries or something like that. But yeah, there was one general packet that they created when Nova was like right after the game came out, and it was the first tournament ever for Kill Team, because it was kind of right after the release, and so then there was the Annihilation, which was at Warhammer World, I believe, and then Adepticon used a variation on that. It was essentially the same packet, but they used, I think, the arena secondaries, and they took out the mandatory terrain placement that Annihilation had, and they had that, like I said, the terrain placement of the players. But there hasn't been since Adepticon another tournament that's used those rule sets. Because Nova now is using like a strange like Ultima slash these bespoke missions that they've worked on for the open board formats, and then Warhammer World's been doing Arena. So I mean, it's kind of changed. I haven't seen another Annihilation Packet tournament since Adepticon, really.
I think that's kind of all there is to say on the format itself.
Yeah,
When it comes to SoCal Open, again, this is kind of Kill Team piggybacking off of another big already established event, right?
yeah,
What other, is it just the standard Games Workshop 40k Age of Sigmar event, or
yeah. There's I think 40k Age of Sigmar and Shadespire. There's like a Grand Clash, I think is what they call it. And then Kill Team. And actually, funny enough, they were originally weren't going to be doing Kill Team, and I contacted Alex. And I was like, "Hey, aren't you going to be doing the Kill Team tournament at SoCal Open?" And I guess he originally thought he wasn't going to be able to make it, so I asked him if I'd be able to do it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's no problem."
awesome?
And
Yeah, good
yeah,
step up.
yeah, I want more kill. My main goal in all this, because obviously I haven't been making money doing this. It's all been
No one's making
uh,
money from Warhammer apart from Games Workshop. Yeah.
yeah, it's because I want to grow the game. I think Kill Team is dare I say it, better than 40k.
I think
It's
most people watching this channel probably think that as well. I think you're in good company to say that, don't worry.
nice. Yeah, I really really enjoyed the game. I used to do 40 like big 40k back in like high school, and got out of the game for a while, and then I got back in for 8th edition, and I was like, I just don't have time for like a 5 hour moving these pieces around the board. And then Kill Team came out, and I was like, oh well, here you go. Here's a, this is the way to do it. You can just have a like hour-long game with your friend, and just like, or even shorter sometimes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I think that's why we're most of us are here. It's
Yeah,
40k but quicker and with some more fun rules. Yeah.
yeah.
So, moving on a little bit from the tournament that you are TOing. To clarify,
Okay.
you are the TO. That is your role.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
So you're TOing it. Competitive kill team. You have been to tournaments.
Yep.
You have played. You have done relatively decently, if I recall.
I got third place the first day at BAO. And
That sounds pretty good.
yeah, with Necrons.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So, uh, I will warn you. I'm about to have Necron Chuck on, so watch what you
Oh,
say. He
nice.
might be, you don't want to get conflicting information from what he says because he is the god of Necrons, apparently. So,
I don't know what I would say that would be.
no, I don't know. So talking about Necrons,
Yeah,
how did you manage to get third place? Oh, and to quickly add, this was 100 points. Elites had just released.
yeah.
Did
So
you
it was
take an
100 points
elite?
with elites. Yeah, not only did I take elites, I had two sub factions on my roster. That's how committed to the elites
Which
meta I
sub
was in.
factions?
Well, so I had my regular Flayed One / Lichguard list, which was Novak, obviously, and then I had Mefrit for my shooty immortals, and probably the one thing I would uh, battle with Chuck on is that I think that the Tesla immortal is really good post elites because of the Mefrit sub faction giving them AP, and then they still have the chance of on a 6 doing the you know it's
Free
like
hits, yeah.
it's like a little bonus that every now and then you get more hits.
Sure, I mean, obviously it depends on the faction you're playing against. There are
Yeah,
certain situations where the Tesla is definitively better. Yes.
yeah,
But generally, I
because
believe
it's an assault
mathematically it is, yeah.
assault weapon, and a lot of kill team is movement, so I feel like it's gives you that benefit there, whereas like if you take Sautek, I think it is, where it changes the rapid fire to assault, you're still only assault 1 with a Gauss, so it's like
Yes, yeah.
there's an inherent intrinsic benefit to taking the Tesla still because it's 2 assault, so you're still getting 2 shots. And then you have that bonus of like maybe on a 6 I'm doing 3 extra.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I suppose one could argue, why take Tesla when you could take flayed ones?
Oh yeah,
They
I'm
kind of fill the
100%
same
flayed ones all
role.
the time.
Yeah. Um,
I I I've done test. I did do really well at BAO with my Tesla list against Gellerpox. It wasn't against Gellerpox Chris, but it was a Gellerpox player that I decided for some reason I was just like I'm gonna take the shooty list for this round and did really well with it. So I mean there are times when you don't want to go all flayed ones, but that's very rare.
very rare indeed, yeah. So you did mainly use your flayed ones,
Yeah, and I,
and that's
I'll
just 10
I'll
flayed
usually
ones?
do well. I have 2 variations on my roster. I can take 10 flayed ones, or I can take 3 flayed ones and a Lich Guard with a shield. And I like to give him the veteran specialist, so he sort of runs ahead, takes all the enemy fire, maybe ties up some really important guy on the other end, and lets my flayed ones kind of mass over the board unassaulted by hopefully turn 2 getting in there and actually getting some board presence because everybody's focused on the Lich Guard that just ran into their front lines.
You see, when it comes to the Lich Guard with the shield, I find it hard to justify. Is it 25 points or 26?
25. It's 20 if
25.
you don't take it with
Yeah.
the shield.
Oh, without the shield, with the War Scythe, I think the Lich Guard's amazing. But with the
Yeah,
shield, obviously you're changing his role, but it's only a 4 up in Vuln. If it was a 3
yeah.
up, I'd be there. You wouldn't even need to convince me, I'd understand. But on a 4 up, it's a 50-50, and I roll really bad dice. So I can't rely on a 50-50. That's not the game I'm playing. But
I do have to admit I tend to roll really badly, but myself, but that's the name of the game. You try and mitigate the fact that maybe your rolls are bad with just such good strategy that even if you fail every roll, you're still somehow eking out some
exactly.
benefit in the game, right?
That's how I play actually. I'm just so good. You might have seen some back reps where I've lost. Those were for the camera. Like you've got to give people the illusion I'm not invincible when it comes to kill team. But then
Exactly.
when I lull them into a full sense of security for when I meet them in tournaments, then just yeah, that's
Then crush them.
yeah. Um, Talking about points levels
Mhm.
and Necrons,
Yeah.
what do you do when you go up to 125 points? Because for me,
Then I
as
get
I
to
think,
do
well, yeah, you get to add all the fun stuff, right?
Yeah, so at 125 points, I'm now running those 10 flayed ones and the Lich Guard. So now it's like even more powerful, and I can switch out my leader flayed one for maybe a leader Gauss Immortal and get some shooting in the back line. Um, yeah, 125 is just it. It makes you feel like I feel like at 100 when you're deciding, oh, am I gonna drop 2 flayed ones for an immortal? It feels like this isn't worth it. But when you've already got 125 points, you already got all these flayed ones on the board already, and you got your Lich Guard or whatever. You got all these points to work with. Dropping 2 models doesn't feel like as much of a tax. So I don't know. At 125, it gives you more flexibility to sort of branch out into other models. I think
Yeah,
that you wouldn't
definitely,
normally consider.
definitely. Certainly, I have enjoyed running Necrons at 125. At 100, I feel like they're kind of, I don't know if restricted is the correct word, but
Yeah,
uninspired. I personally don't feel inspired by Necrons at 100, whereas I do by some other teams. But at
yeah.
125, I genuinely think that the Necron army gains something that it does not
I
have at
agree.
100. Yeah.
I agree 100%. I would run Necrons anyways because that's my main faction that I've been
Mm.
repping since second edition, when you could only find them in the corner of the GW, and there were like 4 boxes of metal guys, and I would bring my Necrons to the Games Workshop, and everybody be like, "No, you have to play Games Workshop armies here." And I'd be like, "There is a Games Workshop army if you look in the corner."
Yeah. Nice.
They'd be like,
Nice.
"What? What's this?" I was like, "Yeah, that's only in this one white dwarf that you can find rules for them." But
Yeah. Well, that was when they were cool.
yeah,
Now they're Egyptian. So
yeah,
let's move on from that. Let's
they
not.
were still cool in third edition, but I just still live like vicariously through the old codex.
And you can, luckily.
Yeah.
You can, you know, the fluff, they kept that open very deliberately, so you can still be Terminators. Yeah,
Yeah, and I run the Forge World Dynasty main arc, and the
I don't know
benefits
it.
there is that when you in the fluff, they're the ones that kind of started the whole flayed one thing, and the uh, the benefits to subfactions, if you have an army that isn't one of the standard subfactions, is that you can then pick whichever one you want as your playstyle, and just call it yours. That's
Fair enough. Yeah. Um, as we're discussing sub-factions, you mentioned that you take Mefrit and Novok, right?
yep.
Which, for anyone that doesn't know, is re-rolling ones, no, re-rolling all failed misses in the fight phase for Novok.
So for Novak, it's if you charged or were
Oh,
charged, you
yep,
can reroll hits. Yeah.
yep. And then for Mefrit, it is your weapon when within half range, shooting weapon, to be clear. I made that
Yep.
mistake. I thought my flayed ones were really good. Uh,
That would be
you,
nice. I might
yeah,
actually pick Mefrit if that was the case.
I know, right? Then when within half range, your weapon gains an extra -1 to its AP. So an AP -1 weapon becomes an AP -2, etc.
Yep.
Um, that's cool. I think those are the two obvious picks, and they are the ones that I picked when I was doing my little Necron army.
Hmm.
But what do you think about the other sub-factions? Do you think there's a third that genuinely, like, you wanted to take it, but it didn't quite eke out those two
Well,
obvious choices?
yeah, my original choice actually, I picked Nefrek, which is if a model in your kill team advances, you can reroll the d6 to determine the increase to that model's move characteristic. In addition, if a model in your kill team advances, it can move across models and terrain as if they were not there. So essentially, teleporting through stuff.
It's
I thought,
similar to the fly keyword when it comes to
yeah,
movement, basically.
yeah, except most TOs have ruled that it doesn't work through arena doors and walls, which
Which
is
is
a little sad.
correct. It should not. Yes.
Even though fluffy, it should, but whatever.
Sure.
Um, the 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 problem though with that is that I think if it was roll 2d6 and pick the highest, it would be powerful. But because it's just a straight reroll of your advance, you could, and I've done this many times, get like a 3 and go, oh, I'm gonna re-roll it, and then get a 2, and it's like, oh well, that was terrible.
That is the curse of the reroll. How many
Yeah.
times have you re-rolled an injury roll to a 1? You know? We've all done it. We all know
Exactly.
how the rerolls work. Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
when Elite's released, I had heard a lot of people talking about that one as well. Um,
Yeah.
it never really jumped out at me as being amazing, but I can see why some people are into it. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Also, at the time when Elite's first release, I wasn't focusing on Necrons, so I wasn't really going into it with it. But yeah.
Yeah.
What about, you said the Necrons are your main. What else do you play?
Yes. So at Nova, I'm going to be playing Eldar, and I also have
Okay.
a Demon team, and I also have the the Elucidian Starstriders. Best team in Kill Team.
So let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. Okay, so we know Eldar. I'm having
Yes.
Michael back on I'm interviewing him this Tuesday. We're going to have another chat with him.
Nice.
He's going to cover that. We haven't talked about demons at all. We
Yeah.
also have never talked about Elicidian Starstriders. Let's cover demons first because I completely missed that entire White Dwarf release because
Oh.
there was some bad timing and then there was also Warcry, I think. So, well, got to get those
Yeah, I
clicks.
bought Warcry for the terrain and those boards.
That's great terrain.
Can't put a premium on those 22 by 30 GW boards.
Exactly. Oh, to be fair, that terrain is top tier. I think that's
Yeah.
really good terrain from the Warcry starter set. Have you actually
Yeah, you'll
built
be
yours
seeing it
or?
at SoCal. Yeah,
Oh,
I built
really?
it. Getting ready to prime it with some what's it called? The contrast
Wraithbone?
Wraithbone, yes.
That's the
And
one. That's
doing
the
some
one.
contrast goodness on those.
That's exactly what I did. I ordered the wood, Wraithbone,
Yep.
Wildwood, done.
Yep.
Easy.
I'm gonna do a mix of Gore Grunta and Wildwood, so the dark bits look dark, and then the
Right.
spiky bits look like they were chiseled.
I had wanted to do that, but I didn't. There you go.
Fair enough.
Yep, that's how most of my hobby goes. I wanted to do that, and then I didn't. Uh, so I got completely sidetracked there, didn't I?
Demons,
Demons.
yes.
Okay,
Um,
so people roughly already, if you're watching this channel, you know what demons are. You know that there are
yeah,
four types, but I have never discussed demons. Now, obviously, the
they're
demons
amazing.
server in my or channel in my Discord is hot. People have
Yep.
discussed it. I've read. But do you want to give people just kind of a quick overview of what is the current hotness in demons? Also, I would like
I
to point
mean,
out I don't like calling things hotness. I did that for the internet memes. Continue.
fair enough. The really obviously game changer in demons is the pink horror slash blue horror slash brimstone horror madness. For a couple of reasons. One, that they have psychic, and every iteration has psychic. So you start out with this pink horror on the board that it's a not very good shooting guy, but he has an invuln save, and he is a psyker. So when he dies, instead of doing your out of action flesh wound roll, just turns into two blue horrors, and they both have psychic, and they both have invuln saves, and then those two blue horrors, when they die, can become brimstone horrors, and they're psychic, and they have an invuln save, and
And
it's
just to clarify for everybody, only one Cybolt to turn.
yep,
Just because you have
one for
multiple
the whole
models
army,
doesn't mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just in case
but
anybody was freaking out for a second there.
yeah, I wonder, in a future White Dwarf if that'll change, but
Let's hope not. Because the psychic phase is terrible. But let's ignore that.
yeah.
Okay, so those are the pink
Coming from a
horrors.
Grey Knight player, huh? That's hot. A hot
I
take.
hate it. I feel so bad for my opponents. Like, if they're a dick, then it's great, obviously. But
Yeah,
I've played Grey Knights against new players, and I was just rolling hot, and I killed a guy a turn, and I just felt bad. Like,
yeah,
and by the fourth turn, I couldn't not do the psychic phase because he knew it had to be done, but I didn't want
yeah.
to do it. I was like, oh, please roll a one. Ah, I killed your guy again. Sorry. Yeah,
Oh, talking about demons,
yeah.
that's one of the things that is different from demons than any other psyker is that because of that blue horror brimstone horror thing, um, when you roll perils of the warp, that could actually be a good thing. It's the one.
Right, because you automatically kill yourself, but you
Yeah,
blow up, and then you're effectively still alive.
yeah. So I like to run my one of my pink horrors as a veteran, and suicide run right into the enemy's biggest blob, and hope for that uh, perils. But if not, I'm still getting those psychic blasts off.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do to you before you psychic blast them. So yeah, yeah, cyborg them. Um,
Yeah, it takes
s-
essentially five whole rounds of shooting to take out a
yeah.
pink horror base,
Who splits into two, and each of those two split into another one each. So yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to do 5 wounds effectively. Now remind me, you don't have an injury roll when it comes to the pink horror or the blue horror because they
No.
split. Do you get an injury roll on the brimstone?
No, although
Okay.
um yeah, I remember wondering that, and if you look into it, it's that none of them get the injury roll. So
I think that's fair once you've got 5 wounds effectively.
yeah.
That's okay for 18 points. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, fun story. I was testing out a demon list against an Eldar player, and one of the big things that people are saying is the weakness of demons is that they break very easily, and that happened to me in this game. I was turn 4. Um, I I rolled Perils of the Warp with my I had my leader was I had done the automatically pass morale, and I had 2 brimstone horrors pass their nerve test, and one of those brimstone horrors rolled Perils of the Warp and blew up all of my pink horrors around it, and all of a sudden, because those pink horrors were shaken, when they blew up they were no longer shaken because now they're blue horrors and it's a new model, and all of a sudden I was able to, and in that I took out like 3 of his Exarchs with just 1 Perils of the Warp, and it
Interesting. I
was
hadn't
a
considered
really
that.
fun.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. I agree with that interpretation, though. It's a new model. You are not shaken, yeah. However,
Yeah,
you have, for your tournament, had to make a ruling on demons. A
yeah,
few rulings, haven't you? One of them
yeah,
is the way that they arrive from reserves, or not from reserves, but they are placed on the board.
yeah,
How did you rule that? Out of curiosity, not for me because I know, but for the viewers at home.
yeah. So essentially, we were all debating about that in your Discord, and I don't remember exactly who it was. I'm thinking it was Edu in your Discord that talked about this reinforcements
Yes.
uh, reinforcements rule, and it pretty clearly states, some models have the ability to be set up on the battlefield mid-battle round using teleporters, graph shoots, or other more esoteric means, which I'm assuming is specifically pointing to demons. Um, and it says typically this happens at the end of the movement phase, but it can also happen during other phases. Models that are set up in this manner cannot move further, advance, or charge during the battle round they arrive, though they can otherwise act normally, use psychic powers, shoot, etc. for the rest of the battle round. Um, and they count as having made a normal move for all rule purposes. And yeah, I figured that was pretty clear cut once somebody pointed that out, that's how they should be interpreted as arriving is with that rules. So when I was working on my FAQ, my the that was one of the things that I wanted to put in there just so it was clear.
Yes. No, I think you're exactly right. And you just kind of jogged my memory there. Uh, we didn't use the SoCal pack, but we did use your FAQ. So if there
Oh,
was ever
cool.
a ruling on, so in that weekend we had 2 tournaments, like one Saturday, one Sunday, and on the Saturday one,
Yeah.
the one I was TOing, I used your FAQ just so I could go ahead and say, look, I wasn't going to make my own FAQ, and
Yeah.
I knew something was going to come up. Actually, it didn't, weirdly, but
I
I
mean, a
did
lot
hand
of those
out.
FAQ questions are very edge case. Hence why
Yes, yeah, of
they're
course, yeah.
there.
Like even the Rax one didn't come up. It was going to,
Oh yeah.
but at the last minute, somebody decided to take Tyranids instead of Rax. And he came second, so probably a good choice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
There you go.
but
Maybe he'd have come first if he had the racks. Who knows?
well, that's what I think.
Racks are pretty
Yeah,
good.
they're really
I'm
strong. Yeah, yeah,
forget what tournament it was, but someone got first with like an all rack
yeah. That
list.
was yeah. I faced him. It was painful. In my
Yeah,
defense, he was rolling well, and I rolled averagely. And rolling well beats rolling averagely every
that's
day.
true. Yeah, and there's something to be said for like the dice gods giveth and the dice gods taketh away. Because that first day at BAO when I got third, I was just rolling hot, and then that second day, I was not.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I was not. Yeah. But talking of the dice gods, demons, we've gone over
Yes.
the Zinch, the Zinchian demons. Are any of the other three of note? Like, are they being
Well,
taken?
I mean, they're all of note in that they all have an invuln save, which for every model in an army having an invuln save is pretty powerful, especially since some of them are pretty cheap. Like the bloodletters, I think are 6 points. Um, and having an invuln save and being good in combat and having all like the um I don't have the demons rules in front of me, but the demonettes are also pretty cool. The only one that I would maybe consider not as cool would be the Nurgle, the
Plague
plague
bearer.
bearers. Yeah.
Plague bearer. I have heard that the plague bearer was the guy to take as a leader because he's got T4.
Yeah. That's what I do. I have
Okay.
him as my leader. Um, just because, especially now post elites with reinforcements coming in and the reserves rules, you kind of want your leader a little bit more survivable than in the old days of Kill Team, where you just wanted to take whatever the cheapest model was and put him behind a box or something and hide him all game.
Now, just to quickly double up there, I assume that if one were to take, I'm literally thinking this off the top of my head, but I don't think it's controversial. If one were to take a pink screamer, is that what they're called?
Pink
Pink
horror,
horror,
yeah,
and it was your leader, when it split and became two blue horrors, the leader model is still dead. You've lost your leader
yeah. In fact,
without an
the
infantry roll.
that's one of the
Yeah,
rules for the pink horrors is if they have a specialism of any sort or any war gear, like if you give them the icon or the horn, then that disappears when they become a blue horror. So
right.
yeah, it makes you not want to take any specialist that would be something that you'd want to last all game, which is why I think the veteran's a cool one because the veteran, you're using it before the first
Turn
turn even
one.
begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna survive to get his veteran roll no matter what. So it's not as big of a like gamble or risk to give him that specialist. And then you know once he becomes a blue horror, hopefully he's already in their lines, and now you're just getting those free bolts out.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually manage to get off your explosion, that
Yeah,
could be the game win right there
yeah,
because you've effectively got two guys then right in their lines. Yeah, really strong potentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Have
remember
you con
Beernid was saying something about re actually re-rolling the thing just to try and get
just to
perils,
try?
and I was I was like,
I mean, is it worth a
that's intense.
CP? It'd be really cool, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, what about then the bloodletters and the demonettes? How do they
I
stand
mean
out?
they're both pretty good melee models, and they're cheap, and so you can have a lot of them on the board comparatively to the horrors, which are a more expensive model. And uh, yeah, there's some shenanigans you can pull. Like if you're playing against Eldar, you probably want to pick the demonettes because they've got that Slanesh keyword, and bloodletters are. They look really scary on the board. Let's be honest. People are going to get intimidated just by all these giant red demons running at them. But they're not like
Yes.
super scary, other than the fact that the invuln save. And I honestly believe that, and this is why I run the Lich Guard with my Necrons. This is that an invuln save, having that extra like a feel no pain or an invuln save or something against a lot of the meta stuff in Kill Team is really powerful. I always think an invuln save versus no invuln save, like I would have that any day of the week.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, obviously with elites out now, more and more things have access to AP. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I guess as a Grey Knight player, my main fear is plasma spam.
Oh yeah.
Like even more so than hordes. I have a chance of surviving hordes. I don't have a chance of surviving plasma spam. It's
Yeah.
so difficult. However, and this is something. So I'm going to do a video soon about my upcoming tournament, which is on like in 2 weeks, and I'm taking Grey
Yeah.
Knights. And one of the things I have to think about is how to deal with plasma spam. It's an open board. I haven't played Grey Knights open board before, like in competitively. I've only
Yeah.
played them in arena, where obviously you are basically saved from plasma
Yeah.
because you just
I
charge from
mean,
around corners.
yeah. Any MEQ Marine equivalent, the plasma is going to be pretty rough. But with my
Oh yeah.
Necrons, I usually don't care about plasma. I'm scared of flamers with my Necrons.
Yes, of
Those are the
course. Yeah.
ones.
Although I believe statistically, a damage 2 weapon when a Necron doesn't have any flesh wounds is still better than damage 1 weapon.
That's if you talk to Utsikel again, that's that he would say that for sure. He was.
That's
I
probably
remember
where
the
I got that
first
from
day. He
then.
was like, "I don't want that. I want to have more chances to kill him than I want. You know, to worry about that
Sure.
6."
Hey, makes sense. I haven't done the maths, but it makes sense. But then
Yeah,
when
I
I'm a
mean,
Necron player, I'm still like, he's rolling 2 dice, awesome.
right?
So, yeah, yeah.
Every
Uh,
time that railgun goes off, I'm just like, "All right, let's see those 6s."
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, 3 damage? Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Um, and I completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, Grey Knights. So what I'm going to do
Yeah,
as part of my Grey Knights roster is I'm actually going to have a 5-man team because we're just playing straight Annihilation, so it's 100 points open board. I'm actually going to have a
yeah.
5-man Grey Knights squad of every single one of them having a 4 stave. So they all get a 5
Oh,
up in board.
there you go.
Now, obviously, that's super reliant on luck.
It's also
But,
funny because I actually have a friend who's starting a Grey Knight army, and I told him. He was like, "Well, how did I build these?" And I was like, "All falchions."
well, yeah, that is the correct answer. Yes. You don't need anything
I was like,
else.
"Build them like glass."
Yeah, I 100%. Obviously, I agree. That's what I said
Yeah,
in my video. But yeah, yeah. Falchions are the best weapon for every situation.
yeah,
But that was in arena.
that's
When it
true. Yeah,
comes to open board, you will get plasmid off before you can bring your falchions to bear.
yeah.
So logically, also it depends on terrain. I know that the guy that's kind of running the tournament loves dense boards, so I might
There
be
you go.
okay. But
Yeah, you get a dense enough board, it's almost like arena,
I hope so.
except no
Yeah.
doors. Oh, that would be interesting.
Yes.
Doors on an
Yes.
open board.
I just go around them. Yeah, it's fine. You know what? Let's have a chat about doors.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I don't think I've properly said this on my channel yet, so I'm gonna declare it here. I believe that Kill Team Arena, as we all know, was marketed to us as a competitive format.
Mhm.
The competitive format for Kill Team. I
I
also
obviously bought
believe
that.
it is the least competitive format for Kill Team because of doors. I
Because of
believe that
doors?
doors are genuinely broken for the game.
Hmm.
Debate. What,
Debate.
what do you think? Do you think
I think they add
it's
something to the game, and I think that, like we were talking about earlier with the versatility of Kill Team, I think just having a versatile rule set, like having an option for a game with doors and an option for, an open board layout makes the strategies different. Which is why at BAO when they had the two and it was like alternating from an open board to an arena board, I think that was super gave so many super tactical like decisions that you had to make, in your roster building and everything, and knowing that that's going to be a limitation going into it with these doors makes you plan around them, and because it's such a major factor in arena, you have a difference in how you're going to plan for them because you know that they exist. And I don't know that I'd say that they're broken. um Obviously, I hate doors now after having to paint 100.
I can imagine. Yeah. However, it is entirely possible for your team to never leave the deployment zone.
Not at SoCal Open because I ruled that the you can blow up doors, and I
So
made a
I'm
little
aware of that.
special
We should probably
tactic.
talk about that. But before we discuss that, because I know that you added a tactic, it's like 1 CP and you remove a door.
One CP and it's a roll off for 4 up. You blow up the door and it's removed from the game.
Okay, which is interesting addition. But going from the core kill team,
Yeah.
core arena
Well, it was
kill team,
mostly to mitigate that, essentially,
exactly.
because that is an issue. Obviously, Warhammer World ruled that you could still open the door if and kind of muddied the waters with that. But
Yeah, so they ruled it in a way that is clearly against what the rulebook says. However,
but could
is
be
better.
construed as intended. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how it was intended. I'm
I
sure that they
mean,
didn't think like, oh, these people are gonna freak out about this
oh,
comma.
these people aren't actually going to read the book, are they? What? Nutters. I mean, maybe, but if they could just learn some basic English, that would be cool. Like, I
They
don't
didn't. They didn't think Michael would be here reading everything with his lawyer eyes, and just like,
know.
actually,
I don't know. I think the passage is pretty clear. When you sit down and read it, there isn't
oh
really
yeah.
room for interpretation, you know?
But that's the thing, right? Like, when I first read it, like a lot of rules in Kill Team, funny enough, when I first read it, I assumed the opposite. I assumed what
Yes,
the
no, me
ruling
too.
was,
Yeah.
and then upon further, essentially, once Michael said, "Nope, that's not how it's," I was like, "Oh, actually, you're right. There is a comma
No,
right
yeah, yeah. Somebody says,
there."
"Hey, open your eyes when you read." It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, okay. You got me there. I missed that. Fair play. Um, but I genuinely think that as a way of playing the game,
yeah.
it is bad for the game, for the health of the game, because it adds nothing.
Well, it doesn't add nothing. I mean, it obviously adds something. Otherwise, you wouldn't say it was broken.
Okay, so yeah, but what I mean is it
It might
doesn't.
not be adding a good thing, but it
No,
definitely
it.
adds something.
Okay, so adding, as in adding value, it detracts
Yeah.
value. It detracts from the game, is my view on that. You know, if I think there are very niche circumstances in any game where stopping your opponent from doing something is a positive. You know, occasionally it's good, but take for example in 40k, there
Yeah.
was a big kerfuffle when Drakari got the Asdrubale Vect stratagem. I
Oh
can't remember what
yeah.
that's called off the top of my head, like
Ser-
Master Planner or something.
Servants of Vect. Was no.
I can't remember.
Agents of Vect. I
Oh,
don't know.
Agents of Vect, which
Yeah.
pay CP, stop your opponent from doing something. And
I love that stuff. See, personally, I love throwing a wrench into the cogs
so
and
I actually agree. I think it could be really cool because it opens up a play counterplay, right?
in
And
fact
counterplay is very interesting.
that's my main argument why I don't like Warcry is because that you don't have as much agency, by the lack of a save roll, lack of like essentially the other person does something to you and it's just, well, okay. It happened. I can't do anything about it. I like
Hmm.
having some back and forth, in Kill Team you have a lot of that where like, someone does something, you can do something and then you don't like it, you have a chance to like re-roll it or something, like there's there's multiple layers where you have agency in the actual outcome of any given play. And some would argue that
Personally,
that's not as
I like
streamlined.
the single dice roll of Warcry. I think it's very smooth. I think it removes a
Yeah,
lot of hassle that doesn't need to be there. However, potentially, just think about the Warcry rule set, and I haven't thought it through at all. Potentially, you could have abilities that can be used during your enemy's turn.
yeah,
Something like that. That would then give a form of play, counterplay. I don't know, just throwing out there as a potential situation, just because I do like the single dice roll. I think it
yeah.
changes the game significantly and the feel of the game.
My favorite thing about Warcry is having the characters with so many wounds. I feel like
Yes.
in Kill Team that would have been obviously they marketed Kill Team as like a primer for getting into 40k, so they had to keep the data sheets
Yeah,
the
of
same.
course.
But
Yeah.
that would have been the one thing that from Warcry that I think would have been really cool in Kill Team, where like you, for instance, you have a drone that's only got 5 wounds versus like a Terminator that's got 40. Like they're not going to be. It's not going to be like one tiny unit holding up a giant unit like it is in the game right now, where like any unit has the same 3 flesh wounds. You can have like you
No,
know, a,
I
a
agree completely. The granularity, not only in larger wound pools, but also larger point pools.
yeah,
Currently, the difference between an Imperial Guardsman and a Chaos Cultist is nothing. They are literally the same.
yeah,
But if you increase that granularity, you could say, okay, well, the Imperial Guardsman is 50 points and has 25 wounds, which equates to roughly what he would have in, or it has 10 wounds, would be roughly
yeah,
the equivalent of just porting the kill team rules straight over to Warcry. Whereas you could say the cultist, well, actually, he's meant to be a little bit worse, so we're going to make him 40 points. I don't know, I'm
yeah,
talking crap. Anyway, I like it, is
yeah,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
Going back
Anyways,
to play counterplay, though, um,
okay,
I do like counterplay, definitely. I think that should be a thing,
yeah.
but in a game where there's only, but counterplay should be
Honestly,
deliberate.
those
In
arguments kind of fall to the wayside if Arena wasn't 4 rounds. I think that's what makes it such a big like deal that in 4 rounds blocking someone off that's like a quarter of the game that they don't get to do something.
Sure,
And then
but
I
it
kind of
seems
I kind of get your
easier
point.
to fix the door rules than to say, hey, all arena games are now 8 rounds. I feel.
Well, I think 8 rounds would be way too much. Maybe 6, but yeah.
Sure, but then you've got to factor that into TO time, tournament times, and that's like,
Yeah.
oh, suddenly all
Actually, that's
games are
one of the
now an hour
things
and
about
45
SoCal Open I could bring up is the time for the round.
seconds. So sorry about that. If you want to go back to after the technical difficulties there, you were just
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, I was saying that the for SoCal Open I switched the round times to an hour and a half compared to most tournaments do an hour and 15, so that you have 15 minutes for mustering, but an hour and 15 for the full game. And at least in the few tournaments that I did practice tournaments, that made a big difference in letting people finish out their games and make for an overall better experience for the tournament.
So sorry, was that a
You know?
15-minute muster?
Yeah.
That's a long muster. Or you're
Well,
kind
I
of
mean,
including that as pick up your stuff, move to the next table, or is the
no, so
must
the
no?
15-minute muster it includes setting the terrain for the game. It also includes picking your secondaries and picking your roster. So I mean, there's multiple things going on in that, at least in the open board day. But um, you know, a good player could finish a muster in a minute, but I'm trying to like, you know, give people the opportunity, like even new players, I want to make sure that everybody's got a good experience from the game. And an hour and a half for a game gives you, you know, I've found at least in my tournaments, even if you don't use the time specifically for mustering, like that's added time for your game if you finish the mustering quickly. So it's an all around net benefit for game time.
I will admit. that 5 minutes, if you don't know what you're doing, is a really short time for muster.
Yeah.
So I always view muster as you know what you're picking.
You
Like,
should. If you're going into a tournament, you should have like, your set lists that like, oh, if I'm going up against Tyranids, I'm gonna have this list. If I have, I mean, that's the ideal way to build a roster, because
yeah,
when you're building the roster, you've already kind of built it around the lists that you're gonna choose. But not everybody does that, and some people want to make last minute decisions. And
yep, yep. I recently played against someone in one of these tournaments who genuinely mustered.
yeah,
And we got to the 5 minutes. It was casual, and so I was like, "Oh well, okay, I've mustered." He's still looking at cards. What's he doing? So I was really confused for a second. But yeah, he was actually mustering right there. And
yeah,
and then if you actually do it that way, you muster and you have to pick secondaries. It's a really long process. Like, yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you do it the way that it's labeled in the Annihilation Pack, and you're actually pulling out all your cards and doing the whole thing, it's a little ridiculous, honestly. But
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
yeah. I
Um,
like it better just on my Kill Team Manager app. Just like, doot doot doot. Okay, that's 100 points.
yeah, much easier. Yeah, much easier. Um, do you know what the capacity for the event is, and is there how many? Do you know how many tickets are sold?
So right now, 18 have sold for both days. The hopefully more after this video goes out.
Let's hope so.
But
Yeah.
the uh, uh, the capacity for the arena day is limited because I only have 16 sets of arena plus uh, Bjornid's lending us one, and Steven has one that he's lending us, and we have a couple that we're getting. So we're limited by the number of sets of arena we have. But the open air day, we actually aren't limited, because we have access to Frontline Gaming's terrain, and we have access to their mat, and we can expand technically infinitely. Which I mean, there's lots and lots of space where they're doing the SoCal Open, so they've pretty much said, however many tickets we sell, we can have that many people. And I don't think it's gonna reach some super major status, but it could potentially, is what I'm saying. Um, but the reason for that was actually pretty much the reason that we had the open day, was because they wanted that ability to sell as many tickets as possible. And I was like, well, we're only limited with the arena, but with the non-arena we can expand exponentially.
Yes. So you're limited to 38 on the arena, and then whatever
Yeah,
you want on day two. And to be
yeah,
fair, we're still 2 months out.
yeah.
I think 18
A lot of
sales
people,
is fine.
a lot of people that have probably already said that they're going still haven't bought tickets. So it's definitely possible that those numbers are higher. I mean, I know my stepbrother's still doesn't have his ticket, and he's going to be there, so there's at least 19 now.
Yeah,
So I mean, that there's probably like some people like that are waiting until the
there
last
always
possible
are. There
second
are
for
just
work or whatever.
procrastinators. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to a tournament in 2 weeks' time. I still haven't bought a ticket. I've told people I'm going. I just haven't bought a ticket because I'm lazy, you know?
Yeah.
That's probably really frustrating for the organizer, but oh well. Uh, yeah, so
It's
I
it's
I think
it's
we
not
get there.
frustrating, except for just like planning purposes. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like, oh, we've got this many people, let's have this many boards. Oh, actually, there's 10 more people now. We need to figure out 10 more boards. So I guess I get what you're saying.
Yeah. What about prize support? Is there anything?
So I am working on a couple big trophies that I'm making myself, and then I got a couple T-shirts for this caution: may constantly talk about Warhammer. Those will be going
Nice.
to first prize. And then I'm planning on getting a few things from Etsy, like those laser cut dice and some stuff like that. And then we're going to be getting some Oh, my camera's focusing. We're probably going to have some prize support from Frontline, so they're probably going to give us. I'm assuming if it's anything like what they got at BAO, it'll be like some kill team set box, whatever they deem is appropriate for the tournament. That's kind of up to them though. So um, that's something that I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure will be coming as an addition to the price support that already exists. And yeah, that's I try to go on my end and do a lot of cool things. I'll probably give out some of those the the cards that uh
The
the
tactics
data
cards
sheet cards.
from the boxes, right?
No, the ones that you actually fill out with your character. I forgot what they're called.
I
The
don't know what you
ones
mean.
that
Oh,
the ones that you
data
actually
cards, data
data sheet.
cards,
Yeah, data cards.
data cards. Okay.
I have a whole bunch of those, so I was thinking about maybe making those some prizes too. And then everybody who comes to SoCal Open for the Arena Day gets a free pack of cards that has all of the arena objectives, this, the bespoke objectives that are specific for arena. So it's like a 25 pack of cards that comes with one tactic card, which is the blow up a door tactic that I came up with, and then the arena objectives straight out of the book, and the bespoke objectives straight out of the book. So, and it also includes the bespoke objectives for the Battle Brothers missions, the 4-player missions. So it's a cool little arena card pack. I feel like it fixes the problems with the pack that came with the actual set because it didn't have cards for the bespoke objectives. And so if you were playing an arena game and you picked the bespoke objective, it was kind of like everybody knew because it was, I've only got 2 cards. I wonder what the third one is.
No, sure. I mean, what I had done in the past for that particular issue was I would take a third card that wasn't one of the ones that could be used in that mission.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think
Which,
a lot of people did, but
yeah, yeah.
it's better if you've got a nice
No,
little
indeed.
nice card.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I 100% agree. So,
And that was actually part of the reason that I had to stick with the format after I'd picked it was because it
yeah.
cost about $500 to get all those cards printed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Yeah. You're not
so
changing
I was
anything.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, nothing's
Yeah.
getting changed. It's set in
Um,
stone at this point.
no, definitely. Definitely. Rightfully so. Uh, kind of wrapping up a little bit, the whole thing
Yeah.
is going to be streamed, isn't it? So if you can't
Yes.
attend, obviously you should attend. You should attend if you can. I know that Bieranid's going to be there.
Yep.
Alex from Kill Team Academy is going to be there. I'm going to be
Yep.
there, hosting, not
Yep.
playing. Um,
Yeah. Well, you'll be playing. You'll be playing a
we'll get to
a
that in a sec.
Blackstone
We'll get to
Fortress
that in a
game.
sec. Yeah. Um, The I no, the Knights cast. I don't know if you know that. It's a Kill Team podcast. Of
Oh,
four
cool.
guys. The Knights cast. They're
A bunch
near
of people from
Bearded.
your Discord are going. I know that.
Yes, definitely. So the Knights cast
Zero
guys are going,
Stride, Ootsicle.
and a bunch of guys from my Discord. Um, to be honest, with that many people, I'm surprised it's only 18. But yeah.
Well, like I said, that's probably
Oh yeah, they're all
again some
going.
people haven't bought the
Nobody's bought
tickets.
a ticket, but we're all going. Yeah. Um, so there's going to be a lot of people there that
Yeah.
are from the community, you know.
My goal,
Yes.
if it's possible, I don't know. It's just I want to beat that 62 number so that we get more ITC points than Nova and
Well, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah. Um, what do we know if Nova has sold out?
they sold out the first day.
Uh, I don't
Yeah.
pay
I bought
attention.
my ticket at
Okay.
like 10 minutes after they made the announcement and then like later that day I checked it and it was sold out.
Oh
But
wow.
then
Okay.
I think some people didn't I think they like refunded tickets or something because like a few months later I saw one ticket was available and I was like,
Oh,
scoop
I
that one
have
up,
that.
somebody.
Yeah. Sorry, what did you say the Nova number was?
I think it's 64 actually. I think is
64.
the
Okay.
number. Yeah,
That's a good size. That's a good
yeah.
size, definitely. I'll be
It's a
looking
major.
forward to hearing what happens with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be bringing the Michael T. Holy special over there.
Oh,
Bringing the
right.
Eldar.
Yes, you're going to Nova. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's.
Well,
I
I
don't normally make a trip, across the country just for a Warhammer game, but my dad lives really close, so it's like a combined trip to go visit my
awesome.
dad and
Awesome.
stepmom and my half brother, and then we'll go up and they're big into games too. They like
Oh, cool.
Settlers of Catan and that sort of stuff, so they'll have fun at the Nova convention, I think.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, make sure you give back lots of feedback in the Discord because I'll be really interested to know what people are taking. Like, I
yeah,
assume we're finally going to have a tournament that actually has one of every faction,
yeah.
which you
Actually,
just don't get these
the
days.
one of the cool things about Nova, um, funny enough, I I guess I have to kind of go backtrack a little bit. So
Sure.
when LVO happened and I went to the Kill Team Academy's tournament at LVO, that was a week after Arena was officially released, and I bought 2 copies of Arena there and brought it home. And I was thinking, oh, me and my stepbrother, we can play and stuff. And I realized very, very quickly that as a tournament organizer, if you're trying to organize a tournament around Arena, even though it was like sold as this like everybody can just bring their own copy, it's not feasible on a grand scale because attrition, people showing up late, people agreeing to bringing stuff and then not bringing it. Like there's so many factors that as a tournament organizer for Arena, you kind of have to have a huge like set of Arena in order to be able to pull it off. And so I immediately went, oh, this is going to be an issue for tournament organizers pretty quickly. And that's what made me originally invest in so many copies of Arena. And so when Nova Open was like, we might not be able to do Arena because they started to realize that, I reached out to Ben Cash and Mike Brandt and was like, hey, I've got 16 copies of Arena. You want me to just send those over? And they're like, yes, please.
Oh,
So
that's
they're actually
really
going to be
good.
using my Arena set at Nova.
Oh, awesome.
Um, but they did say that I can't stream at the event this year, so I won't be able to do any video from the event. But I will
Right.
definitely be giving you guys updates on the Discord about lists that are
Awesome.
there and what's going on. And I always like to take some pictures of my games, so I'll definitely be
Awesome. Awesome.
doing
And you're
doing
taking the
some of that.
Azurani,
Yep,
planning for
I
number one,
I've
of course.
yeah
Yeah.
mostly because of watching Michael and realizing that I know Michael is the best player in the world for Kill Team. I swear to
Of
God,
course. Of course.
he's amazing. I remember our game at LVO and just thinking like, this guy is amazing. Like this is
Right.
incredible.
Right.
And uh, I know that he's a really good player, but the fact that any army has the ability to win literally every single game in a tournament, even if it's just because it's piloted by a good player, means that that army has some potential to win. And I mean, especially post elites with like some of the
I was
stuff
gonna
that.
say before elites, people were still very much on the fence. Now I think the tide has turned, and
Yeah,
people
so
are like, yeah,
I built a whole Eldar army just for Nova. Literally,
awesome.
I built it specifically to take it to Nova because I figure if I'm going across the country, I want to actually try to win.
It's a novel approach. Fair enough. Are you saying Necrons can't win?
I 100% believe that Necrons can win. Um, but they do have some tough matchups, and the problem is that a lot of the tough matchups are the ones that I'm expecting at Nova. Whereas Eldar's only got really one tough matchup, which is Tyranids,
Right.
and so the odds are much better for Eldar, in my opinion. And again, like I said, I'm traveling across the country. I want to go with my best foot forward, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
that
definitely.
I, I think Eldar is that. I also think that like it's the East Coast. A lot of people haven't played against Eldar like they are over here, where it's everyone got used to Michael, and now everybody's trying to like practice against that list. I don't think that's as much the case on the East Coast, although I might be wrong. I also know that George from Warp Charge Gaming, I think he's planning on taking demons, and Eldar is a good matchup against demons. So
Okay.
I stand behind my Eldar approach. I think maybe I'll win, maybe I won't. Who knows? But I definitely want to put my best chances because essentially Nova's my big hurrah, and then I'm gonna go straight into just TOing.
Oh, okay. Is that like some sort of official, you're backing out, you're only going to TO, or you just
Well,
don't know when
so
the next tournament is?
no, after LVO, this year's LVO, the one that's coming up, I have about 6 tournaments. Plus, I'm going to be working on a big Kill Team Open with Zero Stride in Portland. That is going to be just a Kill Team event, and I'm also potentially planning. I'm still working on the details of doing like maybe monthly arena battles around locally, and just switching full time into like just TOing kill team events. And a lot of that has to do with the big announcement I'm going to be making at LVO for kill team. But yeah, so I expect after LVO to see my whole schedule of events and everything, because again, that's the same with my streaming channel. Um, a lot of people think, oh, why isn't he posting any videos or whatever? And the real thing is that I'm right now is all the setup. Like especially on the internet, you gotta claim all those titles before they get stolen out from under
Yep,
you.
definitely. Yeah.
So that I got the Kill Team stream, Twitch, YouTube, all that stuff, so that when I actually start producing the content, it'll all be ready to go. And I plan to start doing all that after LVO. So look forward to that.
To be clear, do you mean Nova? Or do you actually mean
LVO,
LVO?
I actually mean Las Vegas Open this
Okay.
year in January,
Oh, okay.
or
Fair
next year,
enough.
I guess,
Fair
January.
enough. So still a way away then.
Yep, yep. And a lot of that has to do with because there's a big campaign I'm working on and a bunch of stuff that needs to be painted for that. And I have a bunch of terrain that I'm working on, and it's all the prep work. Warhammer stuff takes a while. It's not like you can just be like, boop, it's all done.
I'm sadly fully aware. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, no, that's really awesome. Hopefully, closer to the time we can have you back on, discuss not only
Yeah,
how your tournaments are going, because of course it's always interesting to hear what's actually winning tournaments, but also whatever your big plans are. Definitely love to hear
yeah,
that.
yeah. I got
Until
some big
then,
plans
though,
for Kill Team.
also, well, I hope I can in some way take part in those. But
Yeah.
before then, before that big stuff happens, where can people find you? Where should people go to follow whatever it is you're doing?
Right now, you can kind of get everything through killteamstream.com, and that's got links to all my other stuff. But the important thing is it's also got links to the tournaments and stuff, and all of my FAQ stuff that I've been working on. Which for people that don't know, I've been working on a bunch of questions that people have been asking me, and just kind of putting in stone. These are all my rulings for those things at my events. And if you want to use that same thing at your events, totally feel free. Again, those are just my personal rulings, so like anybody could make their own changes to it for their own personal events. But at my events, those all sort of stand in stone, sort of thing. But then that's also hopefully I've got a section on there where I'm trying to get uh, other tournaments on a calendar. So if you want to like find any kill team tournament, you can just go on my calendar and find it. So if anybody has a tournament that they want to put on there, definitely email me killteamstream@gmail.com and give me your like details, maybe a picture and a link, and I'll put it onto my calendar. So hopefully there can be like one resource for finding kill team tournaments. That's the goal with that. Any
Yeah, that
tournament.
would be you. Firstly, not to like fluff you too much here, but you have a cool website. Uh,
Oh, thank you.
Secondly, the FAQ is invaluable. Even if you don't
Nice.
agree with every ruling, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
just being able to look at something and say, hey, look, this is the rule pack. You can give it out to people before they come if you want. If you're doing a tournament on Facebook group or whatever, just say, hey, this is the FAQ. Got any weird questions? Go here. That is
Yeah.
so useful. Like to somebody
Yeah.
trying to do their own tournament. Really useful. Yeah.
It's something I really feel passionate about because mostly because Games Workshop hasn't released their own, and I don't know why because
Because they hate
they.
us, Sheldon. That's why.
But it just came out of necessity because there were a bunch of things that were legitimate questions that they're for instance like the adaptive tactics charging thing that 100% could be ruled either way. I
Yeah.
I made a decision for my fac, but like that is 100% a question that could have been ruled either way depending on how you read things. And so it was just stuff like that where it's like there's no official answer, so I got to kind of like make a pseudo official answer.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple things like that that my rules questions in the Discord often blows up over, and it's like both answers are legitimate.
Yeah.
Play it however you want to play it, but when it comes to a tournament, you need a ruling, you need
Yeah.
consistency, and being able to look up the consistent rule, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that was a big part of why I did it. The consistency. Because I knew people like Beerned were doing SoCal prep tourneys, and they were asking. He was asking a ton of questions like, "How do I rule this at my tournament? How are you going to be ruling this at your tournament? How are you going to be ruling this at your tournament?" And I was like, "I just need to, I just need to write it all
just look at the
down."
page, man. Come on. Yeah,
And
yeah,
a lot of it, uh, I actually spent a lot of time going through the book and actually reading and rereading rules and finding the ways that they're supposed to interact with other rules. And if all that failed, I went, which one's the most fun answer? if if there was no real legitimate answer, I was like, what's the best answer for the fun of the game and everybody involved? And that
yeah.
was kind of my final like metric for how I made my rulings, and that they might not match the Mike Brandt official fact rulings when it comes out eventually, but you know,
Well,
again, yeah,
that's the way it should be ruled eventually. If there isn't I think that is the way to rule it. Ultimately, all the rules should be changed so that the game is more fun, but that would
yeah,
be making our whole entire game if we did that. So yeah, if there's a clear ruling, we play it that way. If not, we play whichever way is more fun, more balanced, whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
And then also your events calendar, I don't ever look at it, but I should because I often find myself thinking, oh, I'd really like to go to a tournament. Oh, I don't know
yeah.
anybody.
Well,
That's a bit of an issue.
when I first set it up, I had a bunch on there. I need to get back and update it, but it's kind of hard because there's people aren't like specifically sending me them, so I kind of have to like find them on the internet. Like, oh, is there another tournament going on? Like,
Sure,
Kill
yeah,
Team,
yeah.
Facebook, oh, and
That's
then
not
put them
quite
in.
what you want to be spending your time on, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, especially now because most of my time is going to terrain painting for SoCal. I've been prepping a lot of terrain. It's kind of intense.
Yes, there we luckily we get constant picture updates in the feed. Train's looking great. Train's
Yeah,
looking great. I'm looking
I'm
forward to
pretty
seeing all the
excited about
boards.
it.
For the stream, you'll have to set up some sort of like recording of flyover of the boards or something that we can play in
Yeah.
between swiping to different shots. That'd be really cool.
So my plan, hopefully, assuming everything goes as planned, is that uh, I will be operating cameras at the event, and that'll be my main role. And hence why I've got you and Kill Team Academy there to do all the talking for me, so I don't have to worry about that side of things because I'm more of the visual thing, anyways. Yeah, maybe I'll make a little side comment every now and then, but mostly it's going to be you two.
Yeah, I'm
And
looking
then
forward to it. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, speaking of which, that's kind of a fun thing. So there's going to be the games streamed live, the regular, rounds, whatever the top table is will be on the stream. But then in addition to that, when there's downtime in between rounds, I've planned a little fun game between you and Kill Team Academy.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm aware. Tell the listeners.
Yeah, there's going to be a Blackstone Fortress using the White Dwarf Blackstone Fortress Kill Team rules. The Kill Team Academy versus Glass Half Dead. It's gonna be a special fun game just for the stream.
Yeah, I think the intention is to play it, what, in the 15-minute gap between
When there's nothing
games?
going on,
Yeah, yeah.
when there's dead time, it won't be dead time. Like that was one of the things I noticed with BAO is like when people were on lunch break or so, something there was like dead time. It was like it was kind of weird for the stream, but to
Sure,
have
yeah.
something to switch to, it'll be fun. Plus, it'll be cool for you guys to actually come all the way out and actually be able to play Kill Team, right? You know.
Well, yeah, I'm going to a Kill Team tournament and not playing Kill Team for 2 days. I've got to admit though, I am going to be bringing a team, and I really
Nice.
hope that the night before I'm going to try
Oh.
and badger everybody like from my Discord. Hey, do you want a game? 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 Even though they're probably going to be like, I've just flown in. I'm really tired. I've got 2 days of non-stop Kill Team ahead. I don't want to play a game right now. I'm like, yeah, but do
Well,
you
you
want a
know who
game?
you might be able to convince
Who's that?
is Michael because he's going to be staying at that place, right?
Yeah,
And
I'm hopeful. He's like the main. Well, him and Birinid I'd like to play.
yeah,
Because if I can beat both of them, even just through luck of the dice, I never have to play another game.
yep, hey, you've
I've
won.
proven myself. Never. Yeah, that's my plan.
That's how I felt at BAO when I was playing Michael. I was like, if I can win this one game, I'll have won every game
Exactly.
in my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have a really good site that I think adds a lot of value, and hopefully, at some point once you
Yeah,
launch interesting things in January, you can kind of push more people towards and can become kind of a hub of because as a content creator for YouTube, I cannot provide those
yeah,
things. Like that's not my wheelhouse. I can't tell people every single event that's coming up. I can't
yeah.
do a whole FAQ, and then when somebody says, "Hey, I've got this one question," I point them to a 30-minute video and say it's in there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So I think having all of that written down is really useful for the community, definitely.
Yeah, I built it mostly as a tool for the community, and then in addition, there's some branding because that's what you do when you're building a website.
Yeah, yeah, you
try
got to, yeah,
try and sell your
obviously.
own stuff, right?
Also,
But
to be fair, the branding looks cool.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
that's my history. Is I was a graphic designer and a photographer and videographer, so I've got the visual stuff kind of on point. That's sort of my wheelhouse sort of thing, which is essentially what I'm bringing to the table in this whole like uh, tournament scene is the branding and the marketing. That's my strength.
well, you'll have to help me because my God, I don't
Hey,
get
I did.
any of that. You did, I know,
You
you
you've
did,
been
yeah,
using you've been
yeah.
using the
I
logo
have.
thing I made for you.
Yeah, it's been really
I've
good.
noticed
Yeah,
it.
thanks for that. Yeah. Um, okay, well, we're kind of wrapping it up. Is
Yeah.
there any final words?
There was something I wanted to bring up, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was. Darn. I think I wrote it down. Hold on, let me just
Okay.
double check.
Okay, well, I'll fill some dead air in that case. Everybody go if you can get to SoCal Open, you definitely should. I'm gonna be there. Or if you can't, you can see me. Well, you won't be able to see
Oh,
me. You'll see me narrating on the stream. So yeah. Okay. What's that?
I wanted to talk about how much I hated random secondaries.
Okay,
I
go
just
for it.
it's the idea that you can pull six melee focused secondaries and be a shooting team. It's just like, how is that balanced?
How is rolling a dice balanced?
Well, it's not inherently
Checkmate. Moving on.
balanced.
No,
Okay.
no. So I actually agree with you. I don't think that 100% random secondaries are good. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think I got my point across particularly well when I had this chat with Alex because we both had completely opposite points of view, or I can't remember. Um, I believe that 18 secondaries and just being able to choose whatever you want isn't good for the game because you are, and I think Alex confirmed this in his tournament, the best players just always pick the same objectives. And
Yeah.
so
But
if you
that
are always picking the same objectives, there's no choice. You may as well just give them 9 VP and then just play the main objective. Um,
Well, I liked Zero Stride.
yeah,
He's in your Discord. He
I
had
know. Yeah.
a really great solution. I thought that sort of kept the randomness, but didn't make it unbalanced, and that was to have like a set of
Yeah.
random secondaries,
So
and so like
pods
you've already
almost. Yeah.
pre-planned these six secondaries are balanced when they're all put together,
Yep.
and then there's like maybe 6 or 10 sets, and then you roll a d6 or a d10, and you get that set of random secondaries
Yeah.
in that.
So myself and Alex and I believe Zero Stride, as you say, have all
Yeah,
had a similar idea that taking these 18 and breaking them up into however many pods, you should be able to create each pod, however, having however many secondaries, let's say 6,
yeah,
and will be balanced internally of those 6. So whatever it is, 2 movement, 2 killing, 2 whatever.
yeah.
However, nobody has actually sat down and done that yet. Has actually said, okay, I've put these 6 together. These 6 are balanced, and these 6 are balanced, and these 6 are balanced, and whichever of the 3 pods you pull,
I mean,
that
the
is
argument that
balanced.
nobody's done that. I mean, technically, that's already in like the Annihilation packet and the Arena packet. They've
They're not
done that
balanced though.
for their
They're crap.
missions.
They suck.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like Games Workshop had the idea of, hey, these should be in pods, like we've
Yeah,
had, and they said,
yeah,
okay, yeah, let's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like they didn't actually see if any of them went together. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean,
I don't remember
effectively, you
which
want
mission
that.
it was, but I remember round 3 at LVO. I went up against Miguel, who ended up winning, and I couldn't have scored any of the secondaries with my team, and I was just like, "This is just some. I don't get
No,
it."
completely, completely. Also, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure that the 18 secondaries is the final list of secondaries we should be drawing from. You
I
know,
agree with that.
I think
I
there's
mean,
space.
why did we pick those 18? Just because that's on the thing.
Exactly.
Are there
Exactly.
better ones? Are there new ones we can come up with?
I
Like
think
your
that
Kiev format that gives you
they have
the
some wacky secondaries that are not entirely balanced. But yeah, they have other ideas. Um,
yeah,
but I do think that once you kind of genuinely sit down and say, okay, I need to make 6 objectives, that through those 6, all 3 of them, or all 3 that someone can choose, sorry,
yeah,
will give them, I don't know, maybe almost like a tier of this is the obvious choice if you're an elite army, this is the obvious choice if you're a horde army, and then you kind of,
yeah,
because I think if you're actually, this is going to sound stupid, I shouldn't talk, but if you're actually scoring 18 VP in a turn or in a game, either
yeah.
were playing against a new opponent or there is something wrong with the secondaries or with the objectives in general. I don't
I mean, I definitely agree
think
that there should be a
perfect games should
challenge.
be happening.
Yeah, unless you're Michael.
Well, obviously, Michael, we if I were to face
You give him
Michael,
any secondary,
I
he's
just
gonna get three
concede.
points.
I just say good game, Michael, but we haven't deployed yet. I know, good game. Uh, But that is my actual view on random secondaries. They should not be
Yeah,
random because that is bad. And it
yeah,
seems like the secondaries from Arena were just random.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't know what they
I
were
mean, a lot
thinking.
of them came from 40K. You can tell,
Right.
like, scout the field and stuff. Domination.
Yes.
Those are all holdovers from 40K. But the yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but I know it's not just complete 100% randomness. Because although I do have to give Nova some credit that because they're not doing just one-off games and it's best of 3, the randomness isn't as like detrimental if you get one bad pull because you
I
could
agree.
theoretically get another good
That
one.
is,
But
yeah, I do like that. It's
yeah,
is it the top 16 or the top 8 go to best of 3?
that's a good question that I
I can't
cannot
remember.
answer.
I can't remember. But for anyone unaware, basically Nova has said that the first X number of games are just regular Swiss pairing one-on-one, and then it
Yeah,
breaks down so that the top cut of whatever they
yeah,
are actually doing best of 3, which I think is really
yeah.
cool. I don't know how they found the time to squeeze a best of 3 format into their
Well,
days, but
they're
that's
doing 2 days. Yeah, but it's a
oh,
2 day
so it's
tournament.
not like you where it's day 1 is separate from day
Yeah, so
2.
mine it's like day 1 and day 2 are two completely different tournaments, but
Right.
for um for Nova, it's 2 days are the same tournament. It's which is usually how 40K does it because 40K, every game takes 8 hours or whatever, right? So they have
Exactly,
to do
yeah.
that. So, but
Okay, that makes more
yeah,
sense. That's pretty
yeah,
cool. I do like that idea, I've got to say. If you have the
yeah.
resources to 100%
Well,
do a 2-day tournament, that's really cool.
Adepticon had best of 3 in their pods, and that might have been where they came up with the idea. Um, their pods were all best of 3, which you'd get your opponent, and there'd be like 8 people in a pod, and each time you play someone, you'd do 3 missions against that person. Well,
Really?
I
Oh,
mean, I guess
okay.
it was technically 2 missions unless you won one and then won the other, and then it would be 3. Um, but yeah, that's I think where it came from, or whatever. I don't know where it came from. I don't prescribe to know the
Yeah.
genesis of it, but
Okay. Oh, well, that's a good thing to point out. But just to reiterate, no, we're on the same boat when it
yes,
comes to secondary objectives. I may have said in the
yeah,
past, it, I have definitely said I do not want all 18 to be pickable, and I stand by that
yeah,
100%. But I also do not think I would rather that than random. Yes,
yeah,
but I don't think that's the end iteration for Kill Team secondaries. I think we've got one more step to go, which is making the pods.
yeah. Fair enough.
There you
And
go.
before I go, I want to make sure I give out a shout out to my buddies Luke and Albert, who are both helping me paint terrain for SoCal. They wanted me to give them a
Luke and
little shout
Albert
out.
for the terrain painting. Well done, you
Yep.
guys. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Sheldon. This has been really interesting. I'm looking forward to SoCal. For
Yeah.
obvious because I'm going to be there, so why wouldn't I be? And I'm also looking forward to not only meeting like tons of guys from the Discord, but also the Nightscast
Yeah.
guys, you, Bearded, in the flesh, finally.
And
Those are going to be really
Steven's trying
exciting.
to get apparently trying to convince George from Warp Charge Gaming to show up, so we'll see if we
Oh,
can
that'd be
snag him
cool. That'd
too.
be cool. Him and Alex as well.
He already
We
said he
have
can't,
all the
but
guys. We
that'd be
have all
awesome.
the guys, and
Yeah. Just
yeah.
imagine how epic it would be if Elliot showed up and then it was him versus Michael in the final.
Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. I don't. I've tried to get hold of Elliot to ask if he's going, if he wants to have another interview, chat about what he's up to, but I haven't been able to track him down yet. I'll
Yeah,
have to
he's
keep
he's
going.
been kind of quiet on the Discord,
He
so
has,
I don't
yeah,
know where
he
he's been.
has. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's not get into weird
All right.
personal issues. Anyway, thank you very much. Everybody, this has been Glass Half Dead and Sheldon from Kill Team Stream, who's on this side. Uh, and I hope you've had a good day, and I hope you continue to have a good day. And this is Glass Half Dead saying goodbye.